Man, who knew clouds can run video games? I wonder, though, if the rain would mess it up at all.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Oh, hey. Later, I'm busy.
But this is important.
Is it for the podcast?
No.
Then get out.
Alright, you know what?
So what's up?
I think it's about time I joined you for a review.
Why?
Why not? Alter was with you for a Deadpool game. Not to mention Swifty with the Last of Us video, and you promised him his second Last of Us video.
I mean, he was interested in joining me for that video. I asked you and you said no.
Well, those were not ideal choices for a video. Besides, I have something in mind for us to talk about. Something good, something that'll get all the views, and something that's actually interesting.
That being?
The Batman, the Brave and the Bold game.
That is fitting for sure. But why should I bother going through with this?
If you don't, I reveal to the world your weird obsession with Ron Swan.
Alright, let's talk about the mostly forgotten Brave and the Bold video game. Wasn't expecting to be back talking about The Dark Knight for at least a while. How about you start us off proper?
With pleasure, Marvel Reno. Batman the Brave and the Bold, the video game, is based on the animated series that ran from 2008 to 2011. This show has a specific significance to me because I grew up watching the show like live every week on Fridays. And it was really a time to, be alive and be watching Cartoon Network. I recorded every episode, and I could not wait to see another one week to week. It was an insane time to be a kid and be a Batman fan.
Well, because of the show's success and The Dark Knight's glorious return to gaming, the guys at Warner Brothers gave it the green light and got some stellar talent to handle it. Way Forward are the head honchos for this project, who besides being no slouches to doing licensed games, they've also occasionally dipped their feet in original projects like the Shantae series, River City Girls, and Mighty Switch Force, just to name a few.
The game would officially release in North America on September 7th, 2010, for both the Nintendo Wii and DS respectively. I have weird feelings about exclusivity, like in gaming in general. I am not a fan of exclusivity. I mean, I've criticized Sony, billions of times over the affair. But I think it feels very different with Nintendo because they kind of run by their own metric. I think that the Batman the Brave and the Bold video game is very much a Nintendo product. Like, it's very much in lieu of the Mario games. So I think it's very at home at Nintendo. Do I love that it's exclusive? No, I don't like it. But I think it fits in this case.
It was definitely an interesting choice, but in retrospect it was probably the best place for them. Just like my experience with the show itself, this game flew under my radar for the longest time before I eventually got it for myself back in 2018. After that I didn't really touch it much until after the Matt Reeves Batman movie came out, and I had a bit of a bat fix for a time. Among my list of bat media was this game, and I spent about a week going through it. You could say I got hammered on justice.
No. Don't do that again.
Sorry. For this video I'm exclusively focusing on the Wii version, but there are some special features from the DS counterpart I will mention later on.
You ready to dive into the video?
Do I really have much of a choice?
No, you don't. So how about you segue us into the story?
Okay, let's talk about the story. So in actuality, the game is separated between 4 different plots structured very much like an episode of the TV show. I like this approach since it feels more authentic to the source material. Some of my favorite parts of the show are the cold opening, so I'm glad that they were incorporated in a way that works to the game's benefit.
Kicking things off, we have the case of the Siamese Diamond. The dynamic duo attempt to thwart the efforts of the felonious feline villains known as Catman and Catwoman, who are turning citizens into tabbies and finxes. It's a catastrophic situation indeed.
Cat puns? Seriously?
Would you rather have it be ice puns?
Show some mercy.
I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy.
Yeah, good point. Well, anyway, in Monkey Think, Robot Do, Gorilla Grodd has taken over Science Island, and it's up to the Bat and the Beetle to put him back in his cage.
Next up, in Over the Underworld, the Cape Crusader and JSA member Hawkman chase the Gentleman Ghost across the catacombs of London, trying to stop him from resurrecting the dead and his master, Astaroth.
Finally, in Green with Anger, it begins with Batman arriving on Oa, escorting the villain Mongol to one of their science cells. After running into Guy Gardner and with some back and forth, the Green Lantern loses his shit, which not only lets Mongol out of custody, but also manages to free Starro in the process. So it's up to the both of them to stop Starro's rampage across the galaxy and catch Mongol before he causes any more damage. So yeah, pretty simple plots for kids to get invested in. With all due respect, they actually are really entertaining with their fun setups, breakneck pacing, and witty dialogue. Not to mention the performances help also, which is all performed by the show's cast. Diedrich Bader is an incredibly underrated Batman, so I'm glad they got him and the rest of the cast to come back for this game as opposed to sound-alikes. Can't say I'm too big on the talking portrait for some scenes. It's better than still images, but I wish we could have gotten something a little bit better.
Well, a game tie-in to an animated kids show is not going to have the most thrilling story. It's not going to win at the Game Awards for this story, but I think it's just a really fun and energetic story, and it feels like there's a lot of love in it from the people who made it, and clearly people who really understood what the show was and what made the show good. It doesn't have the greatest dramatic writing ever, but it doesn't need to be, and it's just a joy. It's just incredible joy to play it, and I think the voice cast being in the game is really what legitimizes it for me and makes it such a fun experience.
Alright, time to move on to gameplay.
Oh, you think? You really think so?
Don't tempt me because I will kick you from the podcast.
Gameplay.
Before we start, I want to note that the game can be played solo, or if you have a buddy along with you, he'll take control of the other hero that assists you for each story. I don't have a second nunchuck, so I'm primarily going to focus on the Dark Knight himself. So for combat, you punch people with the A button and mashing it will execute a combo. Pressing attack while holding down causes you to do a sweep attack, and holding up will pull off an uppercut, which is great for initiating an air combo, which you can also do.
Shaking the Wii remote will cause you to perform a heavy attack which can send enemies flying. Just a couple few thoughts on this is, one, I think it really well utilizes the specificity of it being a Nintendo game and it being on the Wii, which I think is what you have to do, and also it's just a really fun attack, which I just had a blast with. I really gotta say, it's not the biggest thing ever, but I think it's really fun.
When prompted, shaking both the Wii Remote and Nunchuck allows you to perform a power attack, which can either be super useful in the right situation, or in my case where I often forget I can even do the damn move to begin with. Something I didn't realize till recently is that you could do that super move while you're in the air, and it's actually kind of more effective than doing it on the ground. Speaking of super moves, there are these jump-in heroes you can call upon at any point, which acts as a screen nuke, and these have their uses. I like using them from time to time, and it's neat seeing how each hero takes down a group of thugs and extraterrestrials. I don't have a favorite per se, but none of them feel like a waste to use. Lastly is a grab move that can pull thugs in close for hits, or can be chucked across the screen for reasons. You can block too. Forgot to mention that. Since Batman is the subject, gadgets are inevitable to talk about. Let's start with the batarang, which can be quickly shot out or held in to aim at certain objects, but you can also point it at the screen for the full aim across, whatever. There's a stun gun for opening certain doors and zapping mooks in close quarters. Up next is the explosives, which you can use to blow up specific walls and nothing else. Last is the jet booster, which gives Batman a double jump that I enjoy immensely. Also, it becomes a permanent move, but for some reason you can also equip it, which I don't understand why they did it like this.
There's also a number of optional gadgets which you can purchase, which includes flashbangs, nth metal knuckles that boost your power, the laser sword, and lockpicks for gaining access to certain areas. Okay, while we're here, we might as well mention the other character gadgets.
Sure. Why don't you take care of that?
You got for Robin, he's got the Batarang, bow staff, electric shockers. Beetle has the bomb cannon.
All these gadgets can be selected with the D-pad, and most are performed by hitting the Z button. For traversal, you have the regular and double jump by pressing B, and holding the button down allows you to glide, which really comes in handy. Also, you can grapple on the ledges and whatnot when prompted, which happens by pressing the minus button.
There's also some extra maneuvers like the dodge roll and backflip you can pull off. I think this is really fun, and also adds kind of like a martial artist Street Fighter spin to the side scroller, and I think it really makes you more engaged in the fight, and I think it does a really great job of diversifying the gameplay upset that a game like this would, and makes it really unique, I think. Time to move on to the other stuff.
That's my line.
Well, you never mentioned that I couldn't do segues, so suck it up, Buster.
So as mentioned, you go through 4 individual episodes, which consist of 8 levels, a teaser, a mid-boss, and of course, the final boss. As I said before, I like this approach as it represents the structure of the show very well.
After beating the episode, you'll also be able to play in its entirety from selecting the option at the back computer, which I think is a really great way to make this a very replayable game. Much like the New Game Plus kind of idea of AAA titles, and I think it gives it a lot more longevity past that first playthrough. And also I think it gives it kind of a cozy feeling to it, because it's like you're just revisiting some favorite episodes of this show you haven't seen in a while. Definitely taking advantages of the strengths of a tie-in game.
As far as variety is concerned, there's not much here since it's mostly beating up enemies, light platforming, avoiding obstacles, and collecting a shitload of coins that are used for buying gadgets and upgrades, which we'll mention later. Can't say I have a favorite level off the top of my head, since most of them just kind of blend together.
Perfectly describes your videos.
Oh, shut up!
Anyway, back to the important stuff, unlike your videos. I really want to talk about, the levels themselves and what I think of them. I think with the levels, the ones that stand out the most are the ones that I think speak to what stands out to the most in the show, which is when it really goes fantastical and really goes above and beyond with its premise, which I think perfectly describes both the Blue Beetle mission and the Guy Gardner mission. Especially the Guy Gardner mission, which I had a lot of fun with. And, I mean, basically feeling like a bar fight, which I think made it a lot of fun. And then with Blue Beetle, getting to explore another world, I think is always really exciting to me. And I thought there was a lot of really good like game design there. And it's not to say the other levels aren't good. They just don't really they don't seem like they experiment as much as the other ones, and I think it really shows. But they're all fun time. It's just some are more fun than others. After beating the game, you're presented with the Batmite Challenge, which is essentially a 10-round gauntlet that tasks you with taking out every enemy thrown at you within a 2-minute time limit. Even though you have all your gadgets available to you and you'll probably clear the first few rounds, no problem. Nothing can prepare you for the absolute insanity thrusted upon you.
And holy fuck, he's not kidding. Even when I first played this game and up until I recorded footage for this review, I still haven't beaten this. I get so close to the end, but because of thugs blindsiding me or the time limit screwing me over, I just haven't done it yet. I do appreciate that dying doesn't end the challenge and gadget energy refills for every round, but this is way too much of a difficulty spike to be enjoyable. Not one person I've talked to has beaten this, and as far as I'm aware, you don't get any real reward for completing this, so if I were you, I'd avoid doing this. Next thing to talk about is the training mode, which is more accurately a tutorial for all your moves. Kinda wish it was an actual training mode, which has you mess around with your gadgets and whatnot, but as far as tutorials go, it's a good one. You know, I'm in the mood to play Arkham Origins again. Care to comment?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
I got it. Also, guess what? Anyway, as mentioned before, the coins you collect in levels are used for buying new gadgets and a subsequent upgrade for yourself and your allies. These can range from increased duration to area of effect type conditions. Talking about like my favorite upgrade is difficult, but I think the characters that have the best upgrades tend to be the heavy hitters, you know, someone like Blue Beetle, who I have a special connection to because of the show itself. So I'd probably say Blue Beetle, or you know, Batman as a classic favorite.
I think mine would have to be the triple batarang shot. It just annihilates everything in its path, especially in tight corridors.
The game also supports a cheat code feature which has some, including unlocking the extra gadgets, a number of follow bots, which Marvel forgot to mention.
Hey!
Protobot, who is a jump-in hero, and of course the awesome medieval Batman costume you can pick before starting missions.
Can we talk about the music for a second, because they have some stellar tracks in here that fit with the show's vibe incredibly well. One of my favorite pieces is the theme that plays for the mid-bosses. It's highly energetic and intense, which I'm loving probably because I'm reminded of Cuphead.
I think the graphics are good, and I think we should applaud the developers for putting some time and thought into a game that they really didn't have to. And I'm not saying that like in a disparaging way. I just think it looks really smooth and slick. Like it looks well done, and it manages to, you know, retain the style of the show, which I think is the biggest thing you should be going for when you're doing a tie-in game. And it looks nice. It's nice to look at, and I think the backgrounds of the levels are a lot more detailed than you'd think.
Finally, by connecting with the Nintendo DS version of the game, you can have Batmite join in on the action, essentially acting as a third player for the game. You can't really do much besides drop health pickups and stuff like bombs and anvils to beat baddies, but it is an interesting feature nonetheless. I wouldn't say it's the sole reason to buy the DS counterpart, but if you do have both, it wouldn't hurt to give it a shot at least once. You're ready for the end of the video, old chum?
Old chum, what is this? 1966?
Do you want to end the damn video or not?
And since my name is Batmanultra7 and it isn't your name, I think I should go first.
How about I ignore that and you keep being the boy wonder for the rest of the video? How does that sound?
Fine.
Batman the Brave and the Bold, a video game, was a comfortably enjoyable experience that not only harkened back to the good old Batman games of yesteryear, but also was a fun beat-em-up that is definitely worth a playthrough. Despite some odd sections being kinda dull and a bit repetitive, I was genuinely entertained throughout with its enjoyable narratives and clever writing. I love the combat as well, and the gadgets are extremely fun to mess around with. But to be perfectly honest, this game doesn't have much of what you call substance. The most you're going to get out of this game is just playing through the 4 individual plot lines, so if you're into that kind of thing, by all means, give it a shot.
Going back into this game it's like going back into that collective moment of, that when the Brave and the Bold show was on, when, it was the genesis of everything for me. It's what really got me into comic books and started such a big development for me as a nerd. And this game is just really special to me for that. I actually got it for one of my birthdays. It might have even been my 13th birthday, around there at least. It's such a fun game. I love side scrollers. And I love that, they have the whole voice cast there. They've been bringing some Batmite stuff to kind of tie into the stuff near the end of Brave and the Bold. Brings me back to way simpler times. And, it makes me long for a time like that again. So yeah, play this game. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's especially fun with other people. This game and the show was created to be shared with people, because that's what Batman media is for. That's what comic book media is for, to be shared with other people.
If you happen to find this at your local game store or swap meet, I'd snag it because despite the game being bare, it's still a nice hidden gem that's worth it for the right price. Let's hope for a re-release so more people can play it. Even though you forced me to review this game, I actually enjoyed myself through this, so thanks.
Don't mention it. Now, is this where I get to plug my stuff?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm in a good mood.
Well, the stuff on the agenda is I'm working on a video on the movie Unicorn Store, which was directed by Brie Larson. I'm not sure when this video is coming out, but either I'm working on a Monkey Man video or the Monkey Man video is probably already out. I don't know. I'm also working on a bunch of different barrage of videos. I'm planning on releasing some Doctor Who videos in May, since the latest episode, the new episode of Doctor Who is coming out in May. So yeah, we are coming at it. Also, I'm gonna be doing more playthroughs as time goes on. I'm doing it at least consistently on Mondays and Wednesdays, though if there's ever a day where I'm just free and I want to do it, I'm just gonna do it. Right now I'm playing Sonic Mania. After Sonic Mania, I'm gonna do Arkham City, and so on. So yeah, that's what I got going on. So, what's next on the agenda?
I haven't really thought about that. Honestly, I'm not sure.
How about Metroid Prime?
No. I don't think I will.
I beg your pardon.
I'm not doing that. I'm doing a Marvel game next.
You know what? Let me tell you something.
I love doing that to friends. So yeah, like I said, it's a Marvel game next, and Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let you decide, the viewer. So, on Instagram and stuff, I'm gonna be putting up a poll of just some game suggestions. These are the ones I have picked out right now. So, comment what you'd like to see next, or just head over to my Instagram or any of my social media and you decide for yourself. Until then, have a great night. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves. So you already know what time it is. It's time to do our end collab sort of final message, word, whatever. And I'm recording this at 5 in the morning. I don't know why, but we're just going to go through it then anyway. So firstly, a huge thank you to AJ, aka Batmanultra7. You know, he's been really patient since, you know, it's been a few years since I brought up the idea of doing this, so I'm glad that we can finally come together and, you know, get this video out. And, you know, I know that he had to kind of go through my perfectionistic attitude, which I'm sure he was not happy about, but, you know, I can't help myself. It's gotta be perfect. So apologies, AJ, but also thank you to your contributions, and of course to everyone watching. You can subscribe to his channel, go check out his content and all that obligatory stuff. So of course there will be a link in the description down below for that. So, as far as what's going on with me, we just hit over 250 subscribers recently, so we're doing an obligatory Q&A video. Might have another video that I'm going to put out at some point or another. And of course we're going to be doing a review, so that's what I'm going to be working on next. And then after that, we have some other projects that I have in mind. One of them being a revisited episode, and also a movie review that I'm going to try and tackle next. So I got everything all queued up, so it should be hopefully smooth for the next little bit, but we'll see. But like I said, to everybody, thank you all so much for watching this video. Be sure to stay tuned for whatever's coming up next, and then of course, you know, take care of yourselves. So, see ya.
There was a man from Gotham in the Batmobile he rode, defending the defenseless. It's to him I sing this ode.